Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your sun square to someone's Pluto in Synastry or vice versa. So what does it mean when we have this intense aspect going on in our Synastry with someone? So this aspect creates a powerful attraction, a powerful sexual attraction and fascination, and even in some cases, obsession with another person. But it also creates a high level of fear in both people. The Pluto person can feel that the Sun person, just by way of their basic personality and mode of expression, is like assaulting them on a deep level, to do with the nature of their Pluto and how their Pluto is aspected and placed in their own natal chart. All of those issues are just constantly being aggravated by the Sun person, which can be very uncomfortable, but at the same time, they can become very obsessed with the Sun person. The Sun person can be seen as like this being of light, and Pluto can feel like they're the beast, and it's like Beauty and the Beast, or they're the darkness, and the Sun person represents the light. Now, this is more of an unconscious assessment, and that might not even necessarily be true, but on some level, Sun Pluto aspects can show that the Pluto person is the dark and the Sun person is like the light. Now, the Sun person can feel like the Pluto person has a power over them. They have this level of dominance, and even if the Pluto person is the woman or the feminine part of the relationship, the Sun person can still feel that even without her using words or without her even overtly dominating the relationship, she is dominating him and the relationship. It's very interesting, and this is one of those aspects that can cause behavioral changes on the part of the Sun person without them really meaning to. And this is kind of the sad part of this aspect, because it is a difficult aspect, and sometimes it's like the Pluto person can, in a sense, actually rob the Sun person of their light and their giftedness and their talents. Like, they get embroiled in this obsessive bond where the Sun person can actually, when they come out of this later, realize or feel like that they lost a lot of their light and confidence and power, and they gave it to Pluto unconsciously. Like, this is not a super conscious realization that we're doing this with this aspect. So that can be especially damaging and dangerous, and something to look out for. Now, in all cases, that's not going to happen. You just have to look at the whole synastry. If this is just one aspect out of many, like when there's actual compatibility in other areas and good synastry, Scorpionic or Pluto types are gonna love this, because it is a constant venture into the underworld and the darker parts of our psyche, get brought up in this relationship. And so, like, people with a strong Pluto or Scorpio, or even, the entire Pluto and Scorpio generation, we like this kind of stuff. Maybe not for our long-term marriage, but there seems to be some reason or purpose for this type of relationship. But for other types of people, this will just be too difficult. And, in a lot of cases, the first response, whether it's attraction, it's kind of like attraction, repulsion when it's Pluto in a square. The level of fear around each other will just be too much that we feel like, okay, I'm just going to get the hell away from this person. Like, I want nothing to do with this relationship. So in most cases, that is the case where we just think, ooh, I don't want to deal with that, or I don't want to be around them. You could even feel like such bad vibes from someone that you can feel like they're like a criminal, or like they're like this aspect is like, it's so dark that you could definitely get pretty bad vibes from someone and not want to entertain in any type of relationship at all. So that can happen, or we can have it in a more healthy relationship where this is a relationship that really forces you to heal. It forces the Pluto person to deal with their Pluto wound. And, if the Pluto person is more evolved and more, like, I want to say connected to a feeling of like internal safety, security, right? Then they're not going to be so abusive to the Sun person or so controlling or dominating. They're going to actually potentially respect the Sun person a lot, because the Sun person really can teach them a lot, and the Sun person can feel like the Pluto person can really help them gain a deeper understanding on who they truly are as well, because they're, in a sense, making them look at their Sun in a very deep way and look at the way that they're expressing themselves, the way they're moving forward towards their life goals. The Pluto person is allowing the Sun person, by the means of this exchange, to really gain clarity on that, and potentially in a healthy relationship dynamic, become even more of their Sun, right? But usually that will entail some ego deaths first and some difficulties first. It's not an easy one. It's definitely an intense one. It's not a, make or break aspect. None are, right? But yeah, it's definitely one that should have a caution label on it, if that were such a thing in a relationship. The Sun-Pluto conjunction, opposition, and square should come with a caution label. Caution, you might literally die. No, just kidding. But die to your ego and identity. And that's what can happen with the Sun person through a harsh Pluto contact, is that, and it could be in a positive or negative way, that they die to an old version of self. And they could be reborn in a much stronger way if it doesn't totally destroy them in the process. So this is one that you want to be doing some type of self-worth work, and have a strong sense of self-worth as well, if you're going to be indulging in a relationship like this, because it'll bring stuff up. And also you want to look at, like, maybe this isn't the only aspect, like, between the two planets. Like, I've had this aspect before where I've had their Pluto square my Sun, but their Pluto trine my Venus. Now that was a lot more harmonious than when I've had my Pluto square to someone's Sun, and that was like the main aspect. There wasn't anything else going on there. So you could have other aspects making this better as well. But regardless, even with another good aspect attached to it, it's still one that's going to make you transform, and you're not going to stay the same. And yeah, you got to be handling it with caution and care. So I'm not surprised why this one was requested, because it's definitely intense. It's definitely a bit of a, crazy thing in your mind when you have this aspect going on. So yeah, another thing is that the transformation possible is like going to therapy or having some type of spiritual experience. There is a potential for the sun person to really become a more confident version of themselves, actually. And like it kind of depends on the level of involvement, like I've said, of the Pluto person, and are they using their Pluto to harm or to heal, right? And that'll just depend on their level of self-worth and how far along they are on their journey of, yeah, having real inner security, right? So, like in my case, too, the Pluto person, when I've had Pluto square my sun, because I have my sun in Taurus, so that would be the Pluto and Leo generation is the only generation that could square it. So these are people that are quite a lot older than me that have actually been like mentors to me, like one of my astrology teachers, or even beyond that, other people that have mentored me. So, you know, when you're older and you have more maturity, you can usually, not always, handle Pluto's power more with care, versus when you don't have as much life experience, maturity, and spiritual awareness. That's when Pluto can get really ugly. So you always got to look at that as well. But anyways, you guys, thanks for the request. You can keep requesting more videos. I'm going to also do this one in the composite chart that was also requested. That's another tough energy. But anyways, you guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon. Bye.